Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we sift through, stacks of research and sources to bring you the most interesting, the most potent nuggets of knowledge. And today, we're jumping into, well, it's an ancient source, one that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, the Book of Malachi. Our mission here is to really pull out the surprising insights, the core messages from this prophetic text. We want to understand what it was saying then and maybe figure out why it still feels relevant today.
It really is a fascinating book. It's like the final word from the Old Testament prophets.
Right, the last one.
Yeah. And what makes Malachi stand out, I think, is the style. It's not just God speaking at people.
Oh, no.
No, it's structured almost like an argument, a dialogue. You get these divine statements, and then the people push back with questions, sometimes pretty cynical ones.
Okay.
And then God responds again. So it sets up these core conflicts right from the start. It's really dynamic.
Okay, let's get into that then. So it kicks off with something really powerful. I have loved you, says the Lord. Simple, direct.
Absolutely. Foundational.
But then, like you said, the argument starts almost immediately. It gets complicated fast with this twist on God's love.
It does. It dives straight into this contrast between Jacob, who God says he loved, and Esau, or Edom, whom he says he hated.
Which sounds, pretty harsh. Hated.
Yeah, and we need to unpack that. It's generally understood less as like emotional animosity and more about a sovereign choice. A distinction in purpose and destiny tied to the covenant.
Okay, a choice.
Right. And the consequences for Esau's descendants, the Edomites, are laid out starkly. Their land becomes a wasteland, inheritance for jackals.
No.
And even when they say, defiantly, we've been crushed, but we'll rebuild, God's response is just unequivocal.
What's the response?
They may build, but I will demolish. They'll be known as the wicked land, always under God's wrath.
So right at the beginning, it establishes this theme of divine sovereignty, judgment.
Exactly. It sets a pattern right away. Choice, consequence, divine authority. It challenges any easy assumptions about universal favor, actually.
Okay. So with that sort of baseline established, Malachi then pivots pretty sharply, right? The focus shifts.
It does. The accusations land squarely on the priests, those who should be leading the way in faithfulness.
And what's the charge?
Showing contempt for my name. Specifically by putting defiled food on God's altar.
Defile how? What does that mean, practically?
Well, the text is very specific. They're bringing blind animals for sacrifice, or animals that are crippled or diseased.
Stuff they wouldn't dare give to a human ruler.
Precisely. That's the rhetorical question Malachi throws at them. Try offering that to your governor. Would he be pleased? Would he accept you?
It really drives the point home, doesn't it? The lack of respect.
Absolutely. It raises this fundamental question about, the integrity of their worship. If it's subpar for a human official, how could it possibly be acceptable for God?
It's just a deep hypocrisy, like they're just going through the motions.
Exactly. The actions are there, maybe, but the heart, the reverence, it's completely missing. It's almost insulting.
And God's reaction is, intense. He says he wishes someone would just shut the temple doors.
Yeah, so that you would not light useless fires on my altar. It's incredibly strong language.
He says, I am not pleased with you. I will accept no offering from your hands. It's like saying, stop this fake worship.
It's radical, isn't it?
Yeah.
God would rather have no worship than insincere, disrespectful worship. Authenticity over activity.
But then, amidst all that, there's this kind of surprising twist, looking outward.
Yes. Even while condemning the current state of worship in Jerusalem, God declares that his name will be great among the nations.
From sunrise to sunset.
Right. With pure offerings coming from everywhere. It hints at this bigger picture, a global vision for genuine worship that goes way beyond Israel's current failures.
That's fascinating. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Then chapter 2, it seems like the heat gets turned up even more on the priests.
It definitely intensifies. It becomes clear this isn't just about, dodgy sacrifices. It's about their entire calling, their character.
And there are threats, curses.
Oh, yeah. Serious curses if they don't set your heart to honor my name. Curses on them, their blessings, even their descendants.
And that bit about spreading, waste on their faces.
Yes, the refuse from their festival sacrifices spread on their faces. It's an image of utter humiliation and defilement, designed to strip away any pretense of holiness.
So what's the standard they're failing against?
It connects back to the covenant with Levi. This was the special agreement God had with the priestly tribe.
Not just a job description, then.
Not at all. It was a sacred trust, meant to bring life and peace. It demanded reverence, true instruction, guiding people away from sin. A huge spiritual and social responsibility.
And the
A
reality.
total contrast. They turned from the path. Their teaching was making people stumble. They'd violated the covenant, showed favoritism in legal matters. It's a complete breakdown.
A betrayal,
A
really.
profound betrayal of their role.
Okay, so after really taking the priests to task, the focus seems to broaden out again, to society as a whole.
It does. And it lands on an issue that might seem, well, unexpected after all the temple talk. Marriage and faithfulness within families.
How does that come up?
With another one of those challenging questions. Have we not all one Father? Did not one God create us? Why do we profane the covenant by breaking faith with one another?
Breaking faith.
The text points to something specific called detestable. It says Judah has desecrated the sanctuary by marrying the daughter of a foreign god. Essentially, marrying outside the covenant people, which was seen as diluting their unique relationship with God.
And the consequences for that.
Severe, being cut off, even if they keep bringing offerings. The offerings become meaningless if the covenant is broken in this way.
It sounds like their actions in one area directly impacted their standing with God in another.
Absolutely. And then there's this really poignant image of people weeping at the altar because God isn't paying attention to their sacrifices anymore.
Why not?
Because the text says, God is acting as a witness against them concerning the wife of your youth. The wives they've been unfaithful to.
Wow, so God is directly involved in the marriage covenant too.
Deeply. It shows how interconnected spiritual faithfulness and relational integrity are. You can't compartmentalize. Violating your human vows affects your relationship with God.
And it wasn't just about breaking a promise to a spouse.
No, Malachi frames it as violating God's design. He asks, has not the Lord made them one in flesh and spirit? And the purpose, because he was seeking godly offspring.
Seeking godly offspring, that adds another layer.
It does. And then you get that incredibly strong statement, I hate divorce, says the Lord God of Israel.
That must have been shocking to hear. Divorce was likely pretty common, maybe easy.
Very likely. So to hear God express such personal, visceral opposition, I hate divorce, and linking it to covering oneself with violence, that's powerful.
And the call is to guard yourself in your spirit and do not break faith. Repeatedly.
Yes, that constant refrain. And then, as if the actions weren't bad enough, they're also accused of wearying God just by what they say.
How so?
By saying things like, oh, all the evil people seem to be doing fine. God must be pleased with them. Or just cynically asking, where is the God of justice?
That sounds familiar, like
Yep.
a kind of disillusioned grumbling.
Exactly. A deep cynicism about fairness and whether it even pays to be faithful.
So things sound pretty bleak. Unfaithful priests, broken marriages, cynical populace. Is there any hope offered? Where does it go from here?
Yes, absolutely. The text doesn't just end with condemnation. It pivots towards transformation, towards a future intervention.
Okay, how?
It promises a messenger who will come first to prepare the way, and then the sudden arrival of the Lord you are seeking, the messenger of the covenant.
And this arrival, it doesn't sound gentle.
No, the imagery is intense, like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap.
Fire and soap. Purification.
Exactly. It's about burning away the dross, the impurities, like refining metal, or washing away the stains, like bleach. It's a necessary, maybe harsh process.
To what end? What's the goal of this refining?
To purify the Levites, the priests, like gold and silver, so they can once again bring offerings in righteousness. It's restorative.
So not just punishment, but purification for restoration.
Precisely. It envisions getting back to that ideal covenant relationship, back to authentic worship, but it requires the stripping away first.
Okay, but before that full restoration happens, there's still more judgment mentioned,
Yeah.
right? And another accusation.
Yes, God says he will draw near for judgment against a whole list of wrongdoers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorcerers, adulterers, perjurers, those who cheat workers, oppress the vulnerable, widows, orphans, foreigners.
A real social justice dimension there.
Absolutely. And then comes another one of those really direct, almost shocking accusations.
Which is?
Will a mere mortal rob God? Yet you rob me. And the people ask, how are we robbing you?
And the answer.
In tithes and offerings.
Wow! Robbing God. That's strong.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's presented as a reason the whole nation is under a curse, because they're withholding what's due to God.
It brings faithfulness down to a very practical, almost mundane level finances.
Yes, it underscores that integrity isn't just about the big spiritual things. It touches everything, even how you handle your resources, what you give back.
And then comes this incredible invitation, almost a challenge.
Right. Test me in this. says the Lord Almighty. It's quite unique.
Test him how?
Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. See if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it.
That's quite a promise. Overflowing blessings, protection from pests, fruitful vines.
Huge promises, leading to the result that other nations will see their prosperity and call them blessed, call their land delightful. It links obedience in this practical area directly to national blessing.
But even with that promise, the cynicism persists.
It seems so. Some people are still saying, it's futile to serve God, what did we gain? They're looking at the arrogant, the evildoers, and calling them blessed, presumably because they seem to be prospering in the short term.
That really does sound like today sometimes. Short-term appearances versus, well, something else.
And that's exactly the contrast Malachi draws. He contrasts those cynical voices with this beautiful image of those who feared the Lord, talking together.
And God is listening.
Listening intently. And a scroll of remembrance is written in his presence for them. They're called his treasured possession.
A different kind of accounting.
A completely different kind, a divine long-term accounting. God remembers their faithfulness, their reverence, even when it doesn't seem to pay off immediately in worldly terms. They'll be spared in the future, cherished like a beloved child.
Okay, so that leads into the final section, which sounds pretty intense, almost apocalyptic.
It definitely has that feel. It describes a coming day that will burn like a furnace.
The day of judgment.
Yes, consuming the arrogant and evildoers completely. Like stubble. No root or branch left. Very final imagery.
But again, there's a contrast.
A sharp contrast. For those who revere my name, that same day brings healing. The Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings.
That's a beautiful image. Healing instead of burning.
And freedom. You will go out and leap like calves released from the stall. Joy, vitality, victory over wickedness, they will trample down the wicked.
So, ultimate justice and reversal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And right before the end, there's a callback. Remember the law of my servant Moses, grounding them back in the foundation of the covenant.
And then the final famous promise.
The very last word. God promises to send the prophet Elijah before that great and dreadful day of the Lord comes.
Why, Elijah? What's his mission?
To turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers.
Reconciliation between generations.
Yes. Or else the land will be struck with a curse. It emphasizes that restoration isn't just individual. It involves healing relationships within families and the community. It's about passing on faith.
Wow. Okay, so that was quite a journey through Malachi. We went from that intense dialogue, the really pointed accusations against priests and people.
The hypocrisy, the broken covenants.
Yeah, and then through to these profound promises of, well, both judgment and this refining restoration.
It really covers the spectrum.
It really does feel like an ancient mirror, reflecting these timeless issues back at us: integrity, what genuine worship looks like, social justice, faithfulness in relationships.
I think the core message that echoes is God's unwavering expectation for genuine honor. Not just outward show, but inward sincerity. Faithfulness, justice. These things matter deeply.
And the choices have real consequences.
Absolutely. A stark choice is presented, really. Sincerity in belief and action is key. Anything less is, well, as Malachi puts it, almost an insult to God.
So thinking about this whole deep dive, what really stands out to you personally from Malachi?
For me, it's perhaps that raw honesty of the dialogue, the test me invitation, and the final focus on healing generational divides. It feels very grounded.
Yeah, that test me part is pretty amazing. So here's something for you, our listener, to think about. How do these ancient questions about God's justice, our own responsibility, how our choices affect us and our community, how do they land with you today? In your own life, how do you make sure your actions truly line up with your values, especially when, maybe like the people Malachi spoke to, the consequences or rewards seem far off? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep getting well informed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.